Yo, what's up boys, Enzo here, and this is my video where I show you guys how I made 2 mirrors in 1 week in the softcore Harbinger League. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoy. Now this is by no means a guide or anything, and a lot of the methods probably aren't profitable anymore, but this is just the method I used to get to the 2 mirrors. I really didn't expect to get this far in the 1 week, but I guess just chucking a lot of hours into this game in such a short time span, it can really get you quite far. So I was pretty hyped and, linking in all the global chats as per usual. Of course with our boy Mario showing face too. So I started the league on the dot, right when the release, but most of us know that there were a lot of issues in the first few hours where people kept on crashing and stuff. So I actually leveled just like everyone else, but I got pretty lucky with a Summoner Jewel, which I sold for 6-7 Chaos and a Wise Oak. And then once I had this foundation of Chaos, I used it to buy an Exile for really cheap. Now I'll be honest, coming into this I was super hyped. I had a bunch of live searches ready to go. The API was getting bombarded. I'm so sorry guys, but I was a lot of live searches, probably close to 200. And unfortunately, it just wasn't working, so I had to level. Now this is my first league flipping in the beginning of right at the start of a league, so I made a lot of mistakes. I bought Val wins for 5 Chaos. I was thinking, oh yeah, I'll be able to go onto maps and I'll get a bunch of 6-link drops. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to get to that far because I was playing Hideout Warrior. And also my friend told me that you need to have a really fast build or something so you can maximize the 6-link drops. In order to build up a pool of currency so that I could, start doing stuff, I had to do it. I had to do currency flipping. And, it was moderately profitable, I was able to build up a decent foundation of currency. Once I had some currency, I started going through all the prophecies that might be profitable. So I looked at Drillneck and I was like, oh yeah, there's this prophecy that drops Drillneck if you kill this special archer on the ledge. So I did 1 or 2 runs of the ledge and I realized that, it must be a pretty rare spawn. So it's definitely not worth my time trying to fulfill this prophecy. So I ended up wasting a couple of, minutes there. By now the API was working again and I realized that I had to cut down on my live searches a lot because I was not able to keep up with it. And then also it wasn't just about finding, flips, it was finding about the best flips, the best way to use your currency, especially really this early on when currency is so powerful. So I was going through divination cards, I was going through the list of divination cards through each one, and I realized Pride Before the Fall had huge margins where I could get the whole set for 32 Chaos and sell it for 80 Chaos plus. Another really powerful strategy early on in the league is pooling currency. So I didn't have enough currency to outright buy the divination cards because it was 32 Chaos or something and I really didn't have that much. So I talked to my guild. I was like, hey guys, if we all invest into this divination card, we'll get mad returns. And of course it paid off significantly. So I tried the divination card strategy with other things like Mortal Hope and Malcolm, and actually for Mortal Hope it did not work out. I lost 10 Chaos on that. Then I tried my hand at a bit of crafting. So I bought an I-84 diamond ring and I used the essence on it. And it actually turned out relatively okay, if you can see. It had that life roll, had the damage roll from the essence and a bit of resistances. So that sold for a few Chaos. What I also did before the league started was go through all the popular streamers, fresh videos, build guides, etc. Especially Mathul, Zizaran, Lifting Nerd, all of those guys. And I went through what sort of items they were recommending, what sort of build items and stuff they were looking for. So I had live searches up for rares that, fit those parameters. As I said before, this is my first league in trying to flip in the beginning. So I tried, the Porcupine Divination card and getting a +2 SRS bow. And I made a huge mistake. It is so difficult to get the colors for SRS. And when it didn't work out, I just slashed the price by a lot, 20 Chaos or something. So I lost a lot of currency there. So while that bow was selling, I just messed around and standed a bit because Altar Carcass Jack had just gotten 3D art. So yeah, that's pretty dope looking. Anyway, back to the league. I knew that Pride Before the Fall worked, so I did it again. This arbitrage was open for a couple of hours. These gaps in the market, they never last long. That's why no one can tell you, oh yeah, do this specifically and then you will get this. You have to look for them yourself and find them, and they do not last long, so pounce on those opportunities. And for me, it was Pride Before the Fall really early on. And this worked out real great. It built me that foundational pool of currency which I used. And I ended up using turning in Pride Before the Fall dozens of other times. Many times I didn't have the currency I needed, so as it may have been invested in other items, so I did use my guild's help to pull together the currency, and then I gave them their fair share of returns from the items. In case anyone's thinking, the mirrors are like 100% owned by me, like I'm not in debt to anyone. Now I know I could have handed in these early on cards like on a level 1 character in Highgate, but it would have required me to, get a whole bunch of people to boost me through, and honestly it would have been better for them to just, my guild or whatever, to push through content this early on, because that would have been a much better use of time. I do have live searches for, some generic rings. You want life, you want mana, especially because of the mind over matter meta, and you want flat fizz, resistances. If something nice pops up on my live searches for, a decent price, I'll go ahead and buy it. Pride Befall I feel was like a really good choice because Kaomsa is high in demand and the divination card drops from a really low area for where it drops in the ledge. So a lot of new players were starting this league, they drop a Pride Before the Fall, they look on PoE Trade, they see, oh, this is 5-6 chaos, and then they list it. I was also searching for good Sunder jewels, two-handed, life, damage, area, whatever, as long as it was in meta and people would be looking for it. And because I chose this one specifically, because Sunder, so many people are playing that as a league starter. I can credit a lot of my currency early on to Zizaran, for in one of his build guides he recommended Hrimburn, and this the disparity between the prophecy and the item was actually pretty huge. So I was seeing returns of 1.5 to 2 times, and I was doing this prophecy, I probably did it 20 to 30 times or more. At one stage I was the only one selling the Hrimburn gloves, and there was no one selling the prophecy. So I had complete control over the price. So it got pretty crazy. This is one of the few times you'll actually see me doing content. And I don't care what people say. Everyone enjoys playing the game in different ways. And for me, it's playing the market. If you're trying to find gaps in the market, I'd definitely try and look into divination cards as well. Just go through the list of divination cards, check the price of each one, check the cost of making the full set. This is an easy way to, find gaps. Now, what I didn't realize at the time was that Kaom's Heart prices, they were about to skyrocket. Early on, prices are really cheap. I sold my first Kaom's Heart for what, 90 chaos or something? And now they're, right now in the league when I'm recording this, they're over 300, 350, and that's just in a week. Now, what the takeaway from this is, you do not want to be sitting on pure currency when you log off. You want to be investing in items that will appreciate in value, whether it be, say, mirror shards, whether it be Kaom's Heart, whether it be Belly of the Beast. These items are going to increase in value. Oh, and this is only mostly applicable for the first few days of the league. While I was leveling, a funny case was, I was looking for a Kaom's Primacy while I was leveling, but I needed another 10 more levels, so I was like, yeah, I'll just wait till I'm that level, level 60 something, and then I'll buy it. But when I actually reached the level, the price had tripled, because everyone who was leveling with me suddenly wanted the item. So you have to realize that the market is constantly evolving and constantly changing. I turned in 4 of the Earth Drinker cards because I'm not actually 100% sure on what the odds are of getting the Ether Flask, but assuming it was a 50-50, I was going to come out ahead in the long run. And more Pride Before the Fall, as you can see, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Unfortunately, Aren't Jesus wasn't with us, so Deodre's Flask. Oh yeah, then I saw this crafting method. I'm sure some of you may have seen it in Belton's video, where you do this really cheap alch crafting method. So I actually did this with a lot of I-84 bases. I was buying the Onyx amulets for 1 to 2 chaos, and I was just doing this recipe. And I'm not actually sure if I came out ahead, but alchs were so cheap. They were dirt cheap, 7 to 1 chaos, 8 to 1 chaos. So I was like, yeah, why not take advantage of this and do some crafting that only requires alchs. Now, this footage isn't everything you're seeing. On the side, I was also flipping chaos to X alts. I was getting 1 chaos margin each time I traded a chaos to X. I was also doing alchs to chaos. And I was on the side, I was also, doing prophecies. So, and there were a lot more prophecies than what you're just seeing here. So, I was doing a lot at once. The Rigwald's Curse Wereclaw also had pretty great margins. I got the whole set for 16 chaos, sold the amulet for 35. And, but it took a while to sell, but, the margins were still great. And, I was selling some of those rare amulets that I was crafting, getting some pretty good muns. Hrimburn, I did a lot of Hrimburn, as I already said. Now, as I said before, if you're not doing anything with your currency, you have to invest in items that will appreciate in value. Because over time, the chaos that you have 10 chaos sitting in your stash, day 1, day 2, its buying power will decrease. So for me, this was Mirror Shards and the Fiend Divination card, which gives the Headhunter. There was also a pretty big disparity between the Doomflesh Prison Prophecy and the actual item. So I took advantage of this, set up a live search for the Prophecy. Every time one came up for a reasonable price, I bought it, ran the Prophecy. I didn't choose to do Opal Ring crafting because it was actually Because basically, like, now on Opal Rings, you must have a life roll. Previously, you could just, craft percent ES and it would be good. And now it's a lot harder because you're looking for very specific stats. So I was pretty much doing all of these techniques at the same time. And then eventually by day 3, I had enough currency to buy the Fiend Divination card separately. Handed it in on a level 1 character because I wanted to, get the highest chance for +1 maximum endurance charges. And of course, like it was finally worth it. Global 1 spazzing out. In the first week or two, a much more lucrative way of making currency is doing endgame content. Shaper, Uber at Ziri, Breachstones, these are all very profitable. For me, I chose to stick with Breachstones because it was easy for me to buy it. Like, I was buying Splinters, and then I split the cost with my friend who would run the breaches. And then if we got any good drops, we'd split the cost. And, on average, we were getting pretty good returns, honestly. And that's how I purely made the second mirror. As well as flipping on the side, Now, Breachstones, when you run them, they have a 50% chance, from what I've heard, to drop a blessing. And at one stage, I was paying, like 50 chaos for an Ulnatol Breachstone, like once I bought all the splinters, and then I was selling the blessing for 200 chaos. So I ended up selling my Headhunter for 58 exalts, and then I actually bought a mirror for 55 exalts. And for the second mirror, I was just buying splinters, getting my friend to run the Breachstones, splitting the cost, splitting the profit, and we just did this all the time, as much as we could, and this is huge profits. So, there's plenty of methods to make currency. You can divine items, vial them, prophecies, divination cards, Uber at Ziri, Breach Lords, Shaper, just mapping, all of these methods, just keep making currency, keep on grinding, and keep getting those mirrors, boys. See you later. Oh yeah, and don't forget to dislike and subscribe.